I'd like to welcome everybody to the Coaches in the Mouth pod. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Bray Cook. Coach, got a big guest again this week. We got Lauren Mallett-Hays, the sister of the great Ryan Mallett. We're going to talk about the foundation, talk a little bit about Ryan. You got a lot of camps going on. You've been on a busy circuit around doing a lot of interviews.
All over the state.
All over the state and everywhere. Talk to us a little bit. Ryan's dear to everybody in Arkansas's heart, and we miss him tremendously, and I know you do. And a year ago, the whole 9 yards. But one thing I got to know Ryan pretty well the last 2 or 3 years. Of course, him getting into coaching, and one thing is love for kids. Mm-hmm. And we've had other coaches on talking about, excuse me, talking about him going to birthday parties and doing little things with kids and things like that when throughout his career. Talk to us a little bit, the loss of him a little bit. Of course, it affected everybody, but also the foundation. Y'all started this foundation about giving back to kids. Talk to us a little bit how you get involved in the foundation and a little bit what the foundation's about.
Yeah. So you nailed it. We got firsthand experience of seeing Ryan with kids, but it was amazing to hear all of the stories after he passed about how many people actually got to experience child like Ryan with kids, because that's what he was when he was around kids. Definitely a child himself, but he was in his element. And those stories really kind of helped put my mom and I at peace as much as we could be with the situation and help us through the grieving process. And, he and I had talked before he ever went to the NFL about starting a foundation one day. And my life kind of went a different direction and we never got around to it. And so I just felt like this was the perfect way to kind of honor who he was as a person that not everybody got to see, but we wanted everybody to be able to see that part of Ryan, and making sure that what we are doing with the foundation is true to who he was and what he would have wanted to be about.
Well, there's no doubt. We had Tim Horton on, and he said he had his kids, one of the greatest birthday parties his kids ever had. Ryan Mallett actually showed up and was the all-time quarterback at the Razorback Stadium when they're having it. And that just tells you about what he did, giving back, and the investment part. I'm going to let Bray get in. You got a lot of camps going on for kids this summer. Bray, get into that a little bit. You're hosting one of them.
Yeah, for the first one.
Yep,
right?
the inaugural camp at P Ridge.
Yeah, so I know we've talked a lot about this. A lot of planning goes into it.
Yep.
I guess talk about that. Talk about what this camp means to the foundation and what went into it.
So we started planning probably fall of last year, what we wanted the foundation to be about. The biggest component is the camps. Ryan and I both were student athletes, and we know what sports give to kids and what you learn from that. But also having 3 kids that play competitively and being a former middle school coach, I know the cost of athletics is rising, and it's kind of hindering some people from being able to let their kids be involved. So our goal was to make sure that these camps were free to all of the campers that are coming, so that they could get a taste of these different sports to see if it's something that they would benefit from in the long run or fall in love with, like he and I did with our own respective sports. So that's the biggest thing. Our initial goal was to have 5 camps this first year. We are having 9.
Wow.
We set a small goal for 500 campers. We blew that out of the park within a month. So our next goal was 1,000 campers, and we're up to 1,200 campers already. So, and I feel like we'll get close to 1,500 depending on how these July camps go. Our June camps are coming up pretty quickly, so I feel like we're probably where we're about to be on those, but we still got a month for our July camps. So,
well, talk to our audience a little bit about this, because they're going to know where are these camps located, how they get signed up, and the whole 9 yards.
So we have, most of them are football this year, but we do have a couple basketball and a softball camp. P Ridge is hosting both football and basketball. Softball's at Farmington, basketball at Texas High down in Texarkana, where Ryan graduated from, and then a basketball in Valley Springs. And then Elkins, Lincoln, Whitehall, and Mountain Home are all hosting football camps.
Wow.
On our website, Mallett Family Foundation, most of the registrations are there. I've got to get a couple of the newer camps up, but all of our social media has every single camp already with the registration also, and that's Mallett Family Foundation.
Where do they find your social media at?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram currently.
Okay, what's the handle? Just
Mallett Family Foundation.
Okay,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
And I know there's a plan to bring NFL athletes to these camps.
Previous Razorbacks, current Razorbacks, or previous professional athletes. So your camp, P Ridge, we're going to have Broderick Green and Jarius Wright. We've got Jeremy Sprinkled is coming. DJ Williams is helping at Mountain Home. So we're working on getting at least 1 to 2 previous players, if not current players. I want the kids to have the opportunity to meet these players that they might not have an opportunity to meet if their parents can't afford to bring them to a game, or a meet and greet opportunity that they might be having. And I want them to be able to talk to those former players about, what their career path looked like, how much work it took to get to where they ended up, playing at. Because I think a lot of kids say, when they're young, I'm going to play at college or I'm going to play in the NFL. And I think that hearing, especially from people that have been there, done that, what that takes is a good age right now for them to learn what they need to be doing to get to that next level.
Well, talk to me a little bit of this. People don't realize how hard it is and the putting on a camp. And of course, I coached for years. You put on a youth camp, but that many sites. Talk to us about when you started planning this and how this all came evolved. Obviously, Ryan was wanting to be a part of this also, right. But the time and the connections, and talk to us a little bit about that process.
We launched the foundation at the end of February, which was a little bit later than I wanted because I knew schools were going to be planning their camps, and I didn't want them to already have something planned, so that we weren't, contradicting or competing for their kids. We're also giving a donation to the schools that are hosting. That's kind of where the monetary part comes. That way the schools can also help their kids that are in a financial need, make sure that they're getting their uniforms, their shoes, whatever they might need as well. In return, now that the high school students have a new volunteer hour requirement to graduate, those student athletes are getting to count the time that they spend helping us with these camps towards those graduation hours. So it helps both us and the schools. And so we started talking to the coaches about pretty much right after we launched. We didn't want to do it too early because we didn't want, we wanted the launch to be, impactful and not like people talking around the state. So we had to wait till then, but I definitely would have started it probably a little bit earlier if we had launched a little bit earlier.
No doubt. How hard was it to get the former players? I bet you said Ryan Mallett, they all come running, didn't they?
Most of these guys that are coming this year played with Ryan.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty easy. It just depends on the location, and a lot of them are coaching right now, and so they have a lot of their summer stuff going. So that's been more of the issue, not that they didn't want to help, it's just the scheduling. And so next year I'll definitely be planning ahead a lot earlier to line them up.
Well, cool deal, right?
Well, you talked about getting these set up early enough to where you're not competing with the actual, youth camps and things. And for us, our flight school has been a huge success in Bee Ridge, and it's been a lot of fun for our kids in the community. And it's been a great event. But then when you brought this up, I was like, well, let's just combine the two. And this is our youth camp.
Right.
And for me, Ryan and I always talked about coaching together one day, and I'd try and get him to Bee Ridge, and he'd say, no, you're coming to Whitehall. And he wouldn't leave those kids at Whitehall because he was so excited about their season and their potential. Yeah. I guess you think about the impact that Ryan has had on this state throughout his entire career in so many factions. He's his high school talent, and then obviously at Arkansas, and then the NFL player, but then the coach. What has his impact meant, I guess, to your family on the state of Arkansas?
Oh, man. Especially in the coaching aspect. Just the Whitehall community, well, both Mountain Home and Whitehall, but specifically Whitehall, the way that they wrap their arms around us this past year has been truly amazing. And I think that's just a testament to how much they embraced him and how much he impacted their players and their community for them to be able to wrap their arms around us and make us feel like Whitehall is also our home. I think Mom went to pretty much every single game she could this year because Ryan was so excited about that team. She's gotten graduation invites from a couple of those seniors. We were able to give 2 of those seniors our first academic scholarships, which is another part of the foundation, to be able to go continue to pursue their collegiate careers. So the letters, especially those 2 that received scholarships, that they wrote just about how much Ryan meant to them, it makes you tear up for sure.
No doubt. And the other part about your family, too, people don't know this. There's a lot of coaches in your family also. And throughout, in Searcy and different places, you get. Me and Ryan used to talk. I think my dad actually worked with one of his uncles at Searcy one time, or coached him or something. And talk to us a little bit about that, just the family part of the impact, uncles and different people in that family. And one thing every coach I ever talked to about Ryan was his football IQ was way above everybody else's, and being in that environment. Talk to us a little bit about that. And you grew up in it too, so.
Yeah. So my dad was one of 5, 4 boys, all of them coached. One sister married a coach, and then all of the coaches, except for one, married teachers. So we definitely grew up in the education system. There was 13 grandkids, and at one point, I think at least 10 of us were in education throughout our careers. Wow. And I think Ryan was the only coach still coaching, but I have a cousin that's a superintendent at Valley Springs, and then a couple that are in administration. So it's definitely growing up in that environment. I think I personally know how much coaches give to those kids, how much time they give, how much energy they give, how much love they give. And sometimes it's at the expense of their own kids, So just knowing firsthand, I also, I've had coaches that we're working with trying to schedule these camps, and they were like, let's do a Saturday. And I'm like, no, we're not doing a Saturday. You have limited time with your family. We're not going to do a Saturday camp, So I'm trying to be mindful of that too. But it was in his blood. He knew he was going to coach after he got done playing. My mom joked with him because he got a sociology degree here from the U of A, and she said, what's one going to do with a sociology degree? And Ryan's like, I don't know, but I'm going to coach. He's like, I'm not probably going to use that part of it, but he just needed that degree to work.
Well, it did, and like I said, it runs in his family. Me and him had a conversation about it one time, and like I said, every coach that's ever coached him, I've ran across and asked about Ryan Mallett. They'd always talk about his IQ football-wise is above and beyond anybody that they've had, and obviously the physical skills, but had a great career on the field and was impacting kids, and left us way too short. Go ahead, Brady.
My relationship with Ryan, both of us getting into coaching almost at the same time, and he got to jump into that head coaching role, and him and I both, not really have any idea what we're doing, but kind of in that spot where we can kind of talk to each other about the problems that candidly that we can't really express to. I can't ask my boss a question I probably don't know the answer to. But that was a unique, I guess, relationship I had with him because we went through that together. My favorite story with him throughout that process was if there was a meeting or something that he would miss, or maybe when he didn't really want to go to, it was always the CTE. It was the concussion. It's the concussions. I'm sorry, I missed the meeting.
Oh, that's funny.
But with him, it was special to be able to, I guess, be in the same spot there for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, my dad passed 2 years before Ryan did, and then Danny, the one that was in Cersei, also passed a month before my dad did. So Ryan kind of lost those people that he would have reached out to ask those questions. And so I think, you and then Coach Airy, once he left Mountain Home, he and Coach Airy had a good relationship. And I'm glad that he was able to have that support to be able to be successful at that level because, I grew up with him. Of course, I'm a little worried when he takes on that head role. And I'm like hoping that he doesn't disappoint not because he didn't know football, but because as a head coach, there's just so much more to it than the football part, So I was a little bit nervous for him in that aspect of it, like the administrative part of being a head coach. So,
now that's definitely the biggest learning curve, I think, for someone our age. Getting into it is all those things you don't think about, all the paperwork and the phone calls, and you understand you got to plan for things, but you also got to, really plan for things and think about so many different angles, and unique experience for sure.
Well, you got to give us a story. Well, everybody comes on here. You got to give us a story on Ryan, maybe when y'all were little or whatever growing up, but you got to give us a story.
So, my mom was our disciplinarian. My dad was he was a coach, but he was a softie when it came to us, right? So if we got grounded by mom, we were grounded for sure, and we couldn't go anywhere. And so he and I started plotting where we'd say, we're going to go to the field. I'm going to go catch for Ryan. We're going to go throw. And so we would go to the field, and that lasted, I don't know, couple weeks, or at least until he got too strong, where I'm like, I'm not catching you. He threw so daggum hard. We'd still lie and say we were going to go throw, and then we just have our friends meet us at the football field. But that's how we got out of being grounded simultaneously.
Oh, man. Well, talk to us. Let's get back to the foundation a little bit. Where do you want to see this grow to? If just an average Joe wants to get involved in it, how do you do that? And wants to get involved in the camps and things like that, as far as other coaches, and build this thing up to like you want it to be built up.
Right. Well, of course, we started here in Arkansas because this is home to us and home to him, and where people knew him the most. Would I love to see this expand to the national level? Yes, but I'm being very realistic and trying to make that progression slow. I think that's the biggest feedback I've gotten is have your sights set high, but don't expect it to happen overnight, because that's what happens with a lot of nonprofits. They get going too fast and, giving out and all the money they're raising and trying to expand without a good plan. So I'm trying to have a good plan there. Our camps are definitely our biggest focus, but knowing firsthand, especially the schools that Ryan was at, and how many single parent households that he had, and lower income families that he was able to touch those kids, their lives, so much. So we want to make sure that we're continuing that part of him. And so we do have academic scholarships for it. They don't have to be athletes. Any high school senior that comes from a single parent household, aging out of the foster care system, or raised by grandparents, we have funds available for scholarships there. And then also high school, we didn't want to miss the high school kids.
Yeah.
And so we're offering athletic scholarships for high school athletes that want to go to a college camp, but that they can't afford, because, those camps are a little bit more expensive.
Yes, they are.
So we will cover the cost of that camp for them.
Well, that's awesome, because that's a big deal. And I think you touched on something that doesn't get talked about. Everybody says, oh, you're going to camp, but it's $300 here. It's for, and people can't afford to do that. And plus they've got requirements with their own team, and y'all giving them an opportunity, because a lot of college coaches, they're not going to offer a scholarship unless you go to their camp and they show up, and y'all are giving that opportunity. Because, I've seen it, either parents don't know what to do in those situations. Coaches try to guide them, but also there's a big financial cost there that can be a heavy burden.
Yeah, and I feel like just recruiting in general is very different than when Ryan went through the process. And so my oldest is 13, and she's a pretty good little softball player. And I'm like, if you'll have my kids called him Rai. Once she gets Rai's work ethic, she could be unstoppable. So we're also in that learning curve of, figuring out what's best to do for her. So I think that's helped me, though, in this situation to be able to gear part of what we're doing towards those kids that are getting up to that age to be recruited, to help them make sure that they're getting the right eyes on them at the right level, and that finances aren't holding them back from that.
At the end of the day, you're giving kids opportunities, and that's it. That's a big deal. I mean, that's all a person can ask is an opportunity, and let it go where it goes. Right?
So pros versus Joes.
Yep.
All right. Now, this is a big part of the foundation. What exactly is going on here?
Well, that is going to be our annual big fundraiser.
Okay.
Each foundation or nonprofit will have a big fundraiser that they'll do each year. Ryan would not have been a gala type guy. So dressing up, getting people to come spend crazy money just to come sit and listen to music or people talk, that was not what we pictured our fundraiser being. And we really wanted to continue incorporating sports. So we decided to have the pros versus Joes. It's going to be, this year it'll be a flag football game. We may change it out each year, move sports to where we do a softball game one year or basketball game. But we're going to start with football just because that's his heart, having a lot of previous professional and Razorback players come play against people across the state that have not played at a collegiate level. So I've already got 41 people signed up as a Joe.
All right.
So we'll have to see. I need to really, it's going to be flag football. I need to look into the rules, see how many people we need to keep on a team. Our plan is to have some tryouts across the state just to bring awareness to it. Coach Bray Cook is going to be one of our pros, so we're excited about that.
Break out the receiver gloves, Coach.
Get the receiver gloves. Make sure you get the knee brace on.
Yes.
Gotta have the
Very
knee
important.
We're excited. So, Jeremy Sprinkle, Jarius, hopefully DJ Williams, depending on his schedule. Our are confirmed, and then a couple of his former players, and then Eric Weddle, hopefully, who won the Super Bowl with the Rams. He will be dependent upon what he coaches high school football, and so if their team makes the playoffs, he won't be able to come. But hopefully, I'm torn. I want him to come to Pros versus Joes, but I don't want his team to lose either. So we'll see. We'll know a little bit more in the fall. So still working on quite a few of those. Trying to get Coach Houston Nutt to come coach the pros.
There you go.
And
Coach, he needs to get out there.
Yeah, he's working on his schedule. We're working. I've talked to him, so he had a scheduling conflict he was working out, so I've got to follow up with that. And then if you've got contacts with Bobby Bones, I think it'd be hilarious to have him coach our Joes.
Let's get
So
Bobby
we're working on that.
I bet
We're shooting big.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then following the game, we're going to have a concert. So we're working on getting that lined up. Yeah. So it'll be kind of an all-day family event, and tickets are $50. So we want it to be affordable for people to be able to come and bring their kids, not just their spouses, to enjoy.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Right?
going to be intense.
You be careful out
Hey,
there.
I'm training now. When's the game date? When are we?
November 9th.
November 9th. We got until November 9th to get ready for this thing.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason it's flag football. We don't want anybody getting hurt. And also, that's why we can't have a lot of current players because they can't get hurt. And
Sure, yeah.
again,
We're expendable. Well,
They are. Well, it's okay. Frank's had a couple
Not
knee
expendable,
surgeries,
but-
so then we'll work it out.
yeah. No, we're definitely going to be training.
Well,
It's gonna
you
take
know
some-
what I think we need to do with this? I think we need to shoot video and put it out every week while you're training to make sure
that'd
to
be
keep
fun.
you
sure,
accountable.
A little
Keep you
promo
accountable.
action. All right.
I can get down with that.
I think it's something we got to do here.
Sure. All
so the
right.
people
Really lock
know
that in.
It puts a little pressure on you.
It does, yeah.
Puts a little
It is
pressure
I
his
appreciate
idea,
the
not mine.
volunteering me for that.
Exactly.
But
And everybody can keep up with the
yeah,
walkout.
just
See
go
where we're
out,
at.
go out there and cover Jarius Wright.
That's right. Hey,
7 on 7.
We'll mess with him on Monday. We'll get him to commit.
yeah.
How about that?
All right, yeah.
You both can commit to it.
Always remember, you can snap the ball. You can
Yeah,
snap the ball.
yeah.
there.
That might be something we talk
Take
about.
play all.
That's
Well,
great.
that's awesome.
I love it. Well, awesome. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah. I will say in planning this too, we're doing this fall. We will probably push this to a spring event. So we'll skip 2025 because we've got a couple other fundraisers to take the place of that right now. And then do it in the spring in 2026 because so many of the former players are coaches. And so it's just a really bad time
sure.
to be able to get them if they're not local, because this is going to be here in Northwest Arkansas at least this first year. So if they're not close, it's harder for them to make that work with their schedule depending on their football. So we'll probably move it to the spring so we can get more pros.
Well, that'd be
here.
awesome.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
So, Bray, on Sundays when you're up there watching film, before you pick up that cookie or that potato chip, we're gonna be watching.
we'll be out there running
checking the
gassers. Yeah,
work.
we'll be out there. I'll jump in 7 on 7 this summer with the boys.
I think we're gonna have to bring the video camera to the game and get
Nope.
some highlights.
That's terrifying. All right, here we go. This is real.
This is gonna happen, guys, ladies and gentlemen. We are videoing this. We're gonna check his work.
Yep.
I mean, we're gonna have to do all this. And everything.
See you in November. All right.
Then you may have one up on all the pros.
Yeah. Sure. Maybe.
That's great.
Oh, man.
Well, I
good.
will tell you, some of our board members, one really wants to play, so he's trying to get all the other board members to play, and they're like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Sure.
Let them loose, man. Let them loose. Don't
Yeah.
hold anybody back.
So we'll see. We're going to try to get them all out there.
Well, that's going to be awesome. We're going to have to get some video of this. This is going to go down. Yeah. We're gonna
Oh,
check.
there'll definitely be video at the event, but
Yeah.
it'll be on
Talking
y'all
about
to
the
get
training.
working
We're
out,
gonna
training.
have
Yeah,
the training.
okay.
It's like Rocky Balboa. Get
Okay.
ready for the big event.
Little montage. All
There
right.
we go. Eating raw eggs and jogging at 5 o'clock.
We'll put it all together the week before so everybody can see.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect.
Sorry, jumping on this bandwagon over here.
Sure. This is the
You're
thing.
the guinea pig, man. It's awesome.
All right.
It's awesome.
Go time.
That's great. I appreciate it.
So your kid, Farmington, is that right? Farmington got a new head coach.
They do.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
Coach Tommy Tice.
I know. I'm
Out
excited.
of retirement, man.
I knew, because we had gone to Texas for a while, but I knew as soon as I heard that name, I'm like, I know that name, and then registered that he was coaching when Dad was coaching. So it'll be interesting. I think he's got a lot of good, he's one of the winningest coaches here in the state. So he'll bring good expertise to Farmington. So we're excited to see what he does.
No doubt. I think he's coached in more games than anybody ever in the state of Arkansas. And right now, I believe he's the number 3 overall winners in Arkansas. I think he's 11 behind Mike Malham, and I called him. I was questioning to see if he was coming back to catch Malham. But Coach is a coach at heart. I mean, he's going to be there and loves kids, and once it's in you, it never leaves you.
No,
and the
that's
coach
true.
is going to do great, and that part of it. Well, we appreciate you coming, stopping by, and ever giving us this information so we can get it out to other people,
Yeah,
because
appreciate it.
I think it's an outstanding, wonderful thing that you guys are doing. And like you hit on the aspect of you're giving kids an opportunity, and people don't realize that a lot of kids don't get an opportunity, and being able to do that, giving back, and thinking about Ryan and that smile, looking above those camps, that little crooked smile he had on all the time, and I don't think there's any other place he'd rather be at if he could, and then obviously his legacy, y'all are doing an outstanding job with it. Bray, I believe we got some things to give away here a little bit.
Yes, we do actually. This is the All-American Steakhouse. So they're one of our sponsors and partners.
Nice.
$100 gift card for you and the family. Go out and.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
They took care of you. I heard you were coming on the show and wanted to give you dinner. So
well, thank you.
So thanks for joining us. And
What was the dip we had over there the other day?
it's crab dip.
Oh, you got to
Crab
get
dip.
that. You got to get
Yep,
that.
on the crab
It's
dip.
unstoppable. Unstoppable.
Will do.
Unstoppable. Well, like I said, we appreciate you stopping by, and we want to support the foundation, the camp any way we can. Coach Cook's putting on a camp over there. We'd like to see this thing expand. I know y'all would, and we want to get it out there. And it's a great opportunity for high school coaches to give back, and I mean, they're all putting on camps anyway, and so
Right.
I think it's a great deal. But we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Bray Cook, we'll see you next time.